and welcome to Market Insights. I am Lovina Emah. It's a beautiful Friday. We're happy it's the weekend again. I mean, this is great. So thank God it's Friday. So starting today, we're going to look at a review of trading on the Nigerian exchange, and we're also going to talk about economic issues that are trending right now in the country. But first of all, let's get started on how trading took place on the Nigerian exchange. As you know, there was 2 public holidays for Monday and Tuesday. So the trading days were just Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday today. But we're going to focus specifically on Thursday because trading is still taking place on the stock markets right now, so we can't really conclude how it will end. But transaction on the floor of the stock exchange as of Thursday, 20th June, closed flat. You know, the all-share index closed at 0.00%, settling at 99,842 from the previous close of 99,842.19. Now, this brings the year-to-date at 33.33%, the month-to-date at 0.55%, and the week-to-date to a negative 0.08% respectively. So that means as of Thursday, the market closed on a negative note, which means it closed on a bearish note. Now, market capitalization closed at 56 trillion naira with an aggregate of over 1 trillion units of shares, and this was traded as over 8,364 deals valued at over 25 trillion naira. And the market's breadth closed positive at 40 equities gained while 17 equities declined. So my guest this morning joining us virtually is a chartered stockbroker, and he's also the managing director for Globalview Capital Limited, and his name is Kebira Aruna. He's joining us virtually on the program. So are you with us now, Kebira Aruna?
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning, and welcome to Market Insights. It's great to have you on the program.
Thank you for having me once again.
Yes, so yes, I noticed as of this morning, there's still trading going on the floor of the Nigerian exchange. So we can't really say for certain how the market will close today. But looking at what happened on Thursday, it looked like the market closed on a negative note with the all-share index and capitalization. We know we lost negatively by 0.08%, and the all-share index was at over 99,000. So we're just about 75 points away from the 100,000 basis points benchmark. So what are your thoughts on this negative note of how trading took place at the Nigerian exchange?
Our mind is that there are stocks that are called SWOT, SWOOT, stock worth over 1 trillion. They actually determine the direction of the market on daily basis. The 0.08% we saw Wednesday was determined by a loss in MTN, which belongs to one of the SWOT. Sometimes if any of the SWOTs loses up to 5%, it's going to affect the all-share index, and that is exactly what happened, which means that peradventure that MTN didn't decline as much as it did on Wednesday, I would have seen the market on the positive. And yesterday, the market closed flat. But as we speak from the market, as we're speaking now, the market is up by 0.12%. Yes, that will be affected before the close of the business. But I believe that by what is standing now, the market is actually in the green. If it closes at this point, the market will be in the green. And that 0.12% will wipe out the 0.08% that it did on Wednesday. But we see how the remaining hours of the trading period will determine.
Okay, let's look at the top gainers and the top decliners. First of all, with the top decliners, we have TransCorp that lost had a loss of 10 naira on their shares, and also Regency Allied Insurance, which also closed at a loss of 0.43 naira. So let's talk about the top gainers and the top decliners as of yesterday, Thursday, 20th June.
Yeah, that was TransCorp Hotel, not TransCorp. You know, we now have 3 TransCorp listed. We have TransCorp as the holding company, we have TransCorp Power, and we have TransCorp Hotel. And most of the things that are responsible for losses sometimes might be market information, just like we see in Fidelity dipping by 0.45 kobo on yesterday, which was because of the right and the public offer that is being on. Here, TransCorp Hotel dipped by 10 naira, which was a percentage of 10%. I think it's just market forces. When information refuse to enter the market will fill in the gap. So I just say the loss in both TransCorp Hotel, Regency Alliance, SOUQ News, Fidelity during the week was just market interplay. It's actually not based on any happening in the market. Then if you also go to the top gainers, Champion, Veritas, Royal Exchange, Briscoe, Charms, I will also say that that is actually the run of the play of the market because, in my place, it is said that it's when the strongs are not available. Any other person that is available will be flexing muscles. I really do not believe that the market actually is a good reflection of these gains. And also, this also pointed to the fact that the market is still brooding. Because on a very good market day, these stocks are not supposed to be the stock that will come and be on top of the chart, especially the top gainer chart. So I feel that it's still telling us that the market is still brooding. It's just at the point, at a reversal point, where we might say reversal as far as information hitting the market.
Okay, but looking at the volume of shares that were exchanged, that's about 1.3 billion volumes of shares that were exchanged, 1.3 billion shares that were exchanged during trading in over 8,000 deals. One would expect that that there'll actually be more, how would I put it, the market shouldn't have closed on that flat note as of Thursday. So what are your thoughts on this?
No, I think there have been on Wednesday we saw a major crossing in First Bank up to 911 million. I think there was another crossing yesterday in First Bank. Only I can't lay my figures on the actual volume, and sometimes volume didn't determine the direction of the market. The volume can even determine how the market come down or how the market go. But with most of the crossings which that actually happen in First Bank are done at the current rate, then it will not affect the market. Assuming that First Bank was 22 naira and the volume was done at 22 naira, it will not determine the direction of the market that day. So volume actually sometimes does not drive the direction of the market.
Okay. Do you think this negative note affecting the current state of the markets in terms of trading, do you think it was due to the fact that we had 2 public holidays and trading activities were a bit slow due to this? I just want to get your opinion on this.
No, sometimes it does because we have people who because of the holiday straight 5 days. And some people might even want to take especially those that are doing their own business, may want to take the other days as holiday for themselves. Maybe the participation in the market actually was not optimal the way we have seen it. I believe that by the time we get to Monday, when everybody's hands will be on deck, we might see a better market than we saw within the last 3 days.
Talk about Fidelity Bank shares. Now, Fidelity Bank had their international public offer yesterday at the floor of the exchange. So it was a very big event. We just want to, but before we start talking about this, let's just look at a short clip from the floor of the exchange. My crew was there to cover the event.
We have been defining business structure. The bank is seeking to undertake landmark projects and business initiatives that will refine the business structure and diversify its earnings in the process. We plan to capitalize the vast opportunities in Nigeria by expanding our footprints in Nigeria and also going outside the country. We started off last year with the UK, so we still believe there are other opportunities in Africa and other parts of the world. Of course, we just mentioned entry into foreign markets and then stay through processes again to make sure that our services are very efficient and people can interact with us. So this is the deal. We're offering 10 billion units for ordinary shares for the public offer at N$75. And the rights issue 3.2 billion ordinary shares of 50 kobo each for N$25. This offer is being led, the lead issue has Stanbic IBTC with other joint issue houses as listed. And the combined offer size is 127.1 billion. And of course, the purpose, as I mentioned before, upgrade our infrastructure in IT, regional expansion, and improve product distribution channels. Offer opens today, 20th of June 2024, and will close on Monday, the 29th of July 2024.
Before CBN actually came up with the policy on recapitalization. That's why today we have a clear market. This is the first of also a multi-stage approach that we intend to take, and not only to attain the 500 billion requirement, but our aspiration is actually to surpass it. Okay, so I welcome everyone. You are here to listen to a bank that has grown exponentially in the last 4 years.
It is with great pleasure that I stand here before you today as the MD of one of the fastest growing banks in Nigeria to mark the opening of our rights issue and public offer. A lot of work has gone into it, being the first offer in a long time in the banking industry. The combined offer by Fidelity Bank can be considered as a pacesetter in the life of the banking industry capitalization drive. Fidelity is the first to launch this offer.
So that was a short clip from the Fidelity Bank IPO at Nigerian Exchange Limited. So Fidelity Bank PLC successfully launched a combined rights issue and public offer to raise 127 billion naira in fresh capital. This capital raise is a strategic move to bolster the bank's financial strength and support its growth ambitions. So my crew was there to cover the event. Now, looking at what happened yesterday for Fidelity Bank IPO and their share offer. Now, what are your thoughts on this? Because we had discussed this before, that more banks will be coming to the Nigerian stock market to increase their capital base. Like Fidelity Bank has already started this. Before Fidelity, there were other banks that have started this. But what are your thoughts on the Fidelity Bank IPO yesterday?
What I would say in the beginning is that Fidelity Bank were quick. They were smart enough to be the first, because we know that most of the banks, if not all, are coming for this exercise, but they happen to be the first to come. And they are coming with two cards. Public offer and right issue. And I was actually thinking that everything will go to the right issue, because what they will prevent is a hostile takeover. And you know, when you do public offer, and there is every possibility that somebody who has more money than you can buy in process. Then by the time they consolidate their holdings, they come and throw you out of the board. But I was surprised that they are actually including public offering. I know they would have done their due diligence very well before they are bringing this true offer. But one thing I want to talk about Fidelity, I have seen Fidelity as a bank that I've always recommended, because every time I analyze the result of Fidelity Bank, their earnings has always been spectacular. I remember when that stock was even as low as 2 naira, their earnings can be like 35%, can be like 40%. That is their earnings versus their price. And I was telling people that the market has actually not done this bank well by doing this. And from what we heard from the MD Smart yesterday, that their dividends is normally 25 to 40% of their earnings. And one will have been bothered if they inject this back into their operation, would the volume of shares be diluted? What happened to the earning per share? But what I do understand is that when you get more money, you use it judiciously, and there could be a compensation of the increase in earnings, to compensate for the increase in shares. And which means at the end of the day, you discover that they will make more money to justify the increase in the number of shares and the volume of money that will be at their disposal. I really do not think that Fidelity Bank will not continue to go at their trajectory, that the dividend that they used to pay. Because like I said, I have seen Fidelity any seat has actually been blown my mind.
Now, I'm still on Fidelity Bank now. How will this IPO impact Fidelity Bank's competitiveness within the Nigerian banking sector?
Yeah, one of the things they actually make us to understand yesterday, they are in tier 2, that the moment they get this money, that they don't need any definition, which means that they have actually successfully crossed to tier 1 bank, which we all understand that that is a plus for them. Then secondly, there's businesses that they want to do, and what they also make us to understand yesterday, that they were already on this before the central bank came and said they should go and raise money, which means that they were actually planning for business expansion. Like I said, if this fund is being deployed appropriately, then we will see Fidelity come up. They want to be at least the first, the third, or the fourth bank as far as the Nigerian economy is concerned.
Okay, thank you for that, Kebira Aruna. Now, as you know, Fidelity Bank anticipates that this IPO might be oversubscribed. However, some factors could dampen investor interest that could lead to a lower than expected turn of events. So let's just talk about the challenges and the events that it might not happen the way the IPO might be oversubscribed, and it might actually dampen investors' interest in this. What kind of challenges do you foresee affecting the Fidelity Bank IPO?
You see, one of the things that I don't know about offers is that there are, like if you check their average prospectus, you see that they have 7 issuing houses, and I believe that they have been, this offer will be underwritten, which means that it is bound to be successful, so bound to be 100%, because what will happen is that the unsubscribed part of it, these 7 issue houses, we take them up, we house and maybe sell at a later date. So the issue that there will be a likelihood that the offer will not be successful is actually is low, and that is why they have as many as 7 issue houses, leading issue houses is Stanbic IBTC. I believe that before they step out, they would have like, it's already 100% subscribed.
Okay, yes, thank you for that. Okay, now, before we round up this segment, now, as you know, the banking sector in Nigeria is quite a competitive industry, especially since the directive given by the Central Bank of Nigeria for all banks to increase their capital base now. So based on this now, how will this program, that's the public offer by Fidelity Bank, address concerns about the bank's ability to distinguish itself and deliver strong returns to shareholders?
You see, maybe you didn't hear me. Let me tell you what happened. We were told in our corporate finance that it is not a sin to borrow. The only thing is that it's a sin to borrow when you are not making enough return as much as the cost of your capital. And what will be the cost of capital for Fidelity Bank is, because they are doing offering, is the dividend that they are going to pay. And I also do say that as far as they are going to put the money in judicious use, and like I also said that what they told us yesterday, they were already in this motion before the CBN announced it, which means that they already identified where this money will go. If they are disciplined enough to channel this fund into projects that will come back and be to the advantage of the investors, I don't think they will have an issue. And like they said, that the moment this offer is successful, they have successfully moved from tier 2 to tier 1 bank. And I believe that the caliber of the board and the management of Fidelity Bank we saw yesterday want to maintain that and maintain it into the future.
Okay, thank you for this, Kebira Aruna. So now, looking at today's trading at the NGX now, today being Friday now, do you think the market will close on a positive note or a negative note? Before we jump.
The market is already positive as we speak. Like I said before I joined this meeting, it was already 0.12%. Like I said, if it closed at that it means it has nullified the 0.08% that they did on Wednesday, which means that it's going to come out positive. So I'm so of the opinion, except if one of the SWOTs like I said, come back and close negative. But if not, the market will close in the gray zone.
Now, let's talk about our Nigerian economy. As you know, inflation is at 33%, over 33% right now, and analysts are predicting that the inflation figures might still go further up. So now, looking at this, what is going on in the country, high cost of living, high cost of food items, coupled with other issues in the country now. So what are the key economic indices that indicate Nigeria's economic fragility, and how have they changed over the past year?
I think we will start from the beginning. And the beginning was a disruption in the supply chain, which is the inability, one, for food that are produced in the far country to be transported to the urban centers like Lagos and Abuja, one, because of insecurity and infrastructure that were not available. And we understand that in Nigeria before, you discover that a cob of corn that was sold maybe like 2 naira previously, suddenly they will tell you it's 50 kobo. But when you ask, they said it because it is harvest season, because it's glut that actually crashes prices. And because of this disruption in the supply chain, the prices of goods increased. The prices, especially that of food. If you check the figure that is being read out from NBS, you discover that the food inflation is the highest, which is still confirming that is a major problem. And when inflation begins to go up, if CBN do nothing about it, it will discourage FDIs, because you can't bring your money to come and invest when the interest rate is like 2% and inflation is 15%, which means that at the point of your investment, you're already at a loss position. So the CBN, to encourage the FDI, we have to raise the MPR, trying to rein in inflation, and that is what they actually been doing for this year alone. It will be 750 basis points. But one of the things I'm looking at is that if you look at what we've just seen from the MBS, that inflation rate surges by 0.26%, higher than that was reported in April of 2024. And is 11.5% higher than that was registered in May 2023. It means that the figure is increasing at a decreasing rate. The one thing about this life is that when the thing happens that it becomes news. I think as the months begin to progress, we are going to be a slowdown. We are going to see a slowdown in inflation rate. And there is this program called SOUQ by the federal government. I can give it to the CBN. The CBN is supposed to, the work is supposed to be a work of two. That is the fiscal policy and the monetary policy. And the CBN has tried to do the work of two people by using the monetary policy. So if whatever anybody is saying concerning that, I won't support it. But the government is trying to come out to address this issue through the fiscal policy. What it should be targeted at is inflation. The moment inflation is brought down or is declining, then the CBN will have every reason to tinker with the MPR by also bringing it down. And you know that when MPR is coming down, then the rates at the money market and the physical market will begin to come down. The moment that happens, then we see a better thing. Somebody asked that why is it that there is inflation in the country and drugs are going up? Why is it that manufacturing companies' prices on the floor of the exchange is not going up? And I told you that we have the inflation and stock market are inversely related, because as inflation is going up, cost of production is also going up, and their margin is, even when they are selling it higher, their margin is being deflated. So the basic problem that we need to fix is that of inflation. And how do we fix the inflation? Is by empowering production, going back to the farm, which is centrally on insecurity. Once insecurity and people can go back to farm, somebody will say, why don't you do garden? How many garden can you do in Lagos neighborhood? How many houses have one plot at the back of your yard that you can plant cassava or potato or whatever? But we are talking about acres of land, hundreds of acres of land, arable farm, live fallow that is taken over by bandits and Fulani herdsmen. Once that is snatched out of their hands, then I think we'll begin to see the light that is at the end of the tunnel.
Okay, thank you for highlighting these issues for us and also going through everything with us now. Yes, you said an increase in production will actually help to reduce this inflation. Now, let's still talk about our GDP growth rate right now. As you know, Nigeria's GDP growth rate is not moving as fast as we would want it to, which is also causing the sluggishness in our economy. So now let's talk about how we can address, how can we increase our GDP growth rates in the country right now. Yes, you highlighted the fact that we need to increase our production, but apart from that, could you go further to mention ways where we can still increase our GDP growth rates?
You know, a part of the component of the GDP growth, we have agriculture, we have the oil and gas, we have manufacturing. The agriculture is badly battered. They are just trying as much as possible to expatiate on. And at a particular point in time, we discovered that the major contributor to the growth of our GDP was agriculture. But now, like this security has actually made that impossible. When you talk about oil and gas, I think it's a common knowledge, even to a 3-year-old boy at home, that we have serious issues at the Niger Delta because of oil theft. And what we have also discovered, I believe that this government will discover that part of the oil that we are drilling today have been sold up to 2025, which means that most of the oil we are even exploring are being used to settle what we have borrowed. That is then the manufacturing that we're talking about, cost of production, and even interest rates, cost of dollar. Do you know that the number of companies are folding up? Why do you think that most of this, why do you think Guinness sold their joke, sold their major share in Guinness? It's because of the differential in exchange. That was actually what threw Guinness into a loss in the first place. So a number of companies are closing up. There is no capacity utilization. Their contribution would have been when you have capacity and you can deliver on capacity. There is capacity underutilization because they cannot buy the raw material necessary for production. And I was telling somebody, I was showing somebody some kind a type of biscuit. Before, when you buy that biscuit, you have like 5 inside it. It's reduced to 4. It reduced to 3. But it's still not 3. But what is inside is not leaner than what you used to get. That is capacity reduction. It means that the contribution to the GDP is being reduced. So all these things have this multiplier effect. Once that supply chain has been able to be fixed, everything will come back to be on the normal trajectory that we have already seen our GDP growing from quarter to quarter.
Okay, now let's talk about our exchange rate. You know, it's been fluctuating this year, from January this year till date. It's still fluctuating now. And you know, Nigeria has been battling with the exchange rate fluctuations following the 2-time devaluation of the Naira by the federal government now. And this has made the Naira to lose at least 55% of its value. It's furthering putting pressure on individual spendings and also companies' balance sheets. Now, based on this, do you think it was a good decision for the government to devalue our Naira?
You know, sometimes it's good that you don't lie to yourself. We have been practicing a fixed exchange rate. How are we be doing it? Because we have been using our external reserve to defend the Naira. But it has come to the level that the oil that we are getting is not enough. The receipt from oil is not enough to defend the Naira. So the only option that was available to this government was to float the Naira. And you saw that when the Naira dollar exchange went as far as 1,950, the CBN came in and it's accepted and brought it down to 980. And what happened? Our external reserve was down. And there was this rumor that they used the external reserve to defend the Naira. but CBS said it is not. But we have seen that the exchange has gone back, which means that it was partly true. And we heard that our reserve has grown, maybe because of maybe one of the loans that we have taken and have hit our account. See, things have to be put into place. Now, let me play it back again. Peradventure that the supply chain has been fixed, and what you have to buy, you get it to buy. When there is scarcity, it becomes the seller's market. They can determine at what price that they want to sell. But when it's a glut, it becomes the buyer's market. You go from one shop to the other. When you get to this shop, they say 10 naira. You tell the person that in the other shop, they ask you to pay 950. And the person, okay, bring 950. You leave to the other shop. You take the other shop, you say 950. Say the other shop, they ask me to pay 9 naira. It becomes a buyer market. And if we are self-satisfied and we do not look outside, why is there a problem with the dollar? It's the demand for export. If there is no, that is what is putting pressure on the naira. If you said, let us buy made in Nigeria, this message has been going on since in the 60s. But do Nigeria actually like made in Nigeria? I don't believe so. Because go outside there and you see people wearing Italian shoes. And that was exactly why Lennart's and Bata folded up in the beginning, because they were local producers of shoes. Our taste grew for foreign-made shoes, and we killed it. So is the pressure for export. That is what is. That is we have the problem of the devaluation of the naira. But it is better that we don't deceive ourselves. Let our reserve grow, and let the naira and the dollar be thrown to the market forces.
Okay, and by throwing it to the market forces, you believe this will help our currency situation right now?
At the short run, it may not help it. At the short run, we've seen like what we saw, that the dollar rose as far as 1,950. But the government can come in intermittently, just the way they did when they discovered that it was running out of funds. Because if they have not stepped in, maybe by now it will be 2,500. But they came in and they were able to bring it down to 980. And while the dollar is even, say, reversing, the people that are responsible, or the forces that are responsible for the dollar going up, we also have at the back of their mind that the government can still come in and break it down, because anybody that would have gotten dollar at 1,950 when the dollar was 90, they know they were in serious loss position. So there will be that caution that the government can come in at any time.
Okay, now from everything that is happening so far in our current economy, it's obvious that the naira's decline has actually played a very key role in this economic fragility now. So now, could you recommend some currency management strategies that could help stabilize this economy?
One, do you know why a country needs to devalue? It's just that we are not a producing country, we are a consuming country. A country we need to devalue its currency to make its goods cheaper at the international market. And what good do we have? It's just only oil. And oil price is being determined internationally. Assuming we are a producing nation and we export, then we have gotten a higher patronage. But now we are a consuming nation. 90% of what we consume is being imported, because like I just said, everybody is going for foreign goods. The only thing that the government can do, one, is to encourage local production. They put ban, people will argue it, but they put ban on certain luxury goods. We have conflicts from NASCO, but people prefer to drink Kellogg's conflicts. We have Nescafe from Nestle, Nigeria, but they prefer Maxwell. They prefer decaf. Those are the issue. We have milk. We have pig milk, but people will go for Lambert, the one that is being imported. If that is being checked, that the rate at which we import, especially food items, is being checked, then I believe that when that pressure is lifted off the naira, it can breathe to a level that everybody will be happy with.
Okay. Thank you for that. Well said, Aruna Kebira Aruna. Now, let's talk about unemployment in Nigeria. It's very high right now, and what initiatives could be implemented to increase, or rather, to stimulate job creation in our economy?
It's interest rates, like I just said. When you want to invest, especially the manufacturing, no big company survive without banks' money. Any company that you see surviving out there would have to borrow from the bank. But if the interest rate is cut through, that especially those that are just at the starting stage, that like I said before, that it's not a crime to borrow, but it's only a crime when your cost of fund is higher than your cost of return. Peradventure, this kind of economy we see, and we are borrowing at the rate of 30% per annum. What are you going to generate? Well, by the time you add salaries and overheads, at the end of the day, are you going to make a profit? If interest rate can be lowered, that it makes borrowing better, make borrowing costs better, then you can see manufacturing company will come. Even this cottage industry, they will spring up and they will take up 5 people here, 2 people there, 3 people here, and before you know, the unemployment situation is solved. But as far as the interest rate is this high, the cost of running a business will be affected. Lately we heard that the supply of electricity was classified in bands, band A, band B, band C. I can tell you for free that before we used to pay in the neighborhood of 31, 30,000, 40,000 as monthly NEPA bill. But do you know what it is now? It's over 400,000. You have to first of all make money to consume that before you talk about profit. And that is even what leads to the unemployment in the beginning. Because when the company discover that they cannot carry those staff, what happens? They have to shed staff. Then they will look for who is less productive and ask the person to go. That is exactly what first of all led to the rise in unemployment rate. So interest rate is very, very crucial. And I know that the interest rate they are rising is to try to fight inflation. So let's fight inflation. If we fight inflation, interest rate will follow. As inflation is coming down, interest rate will be coming down, and manufacturers and cottage owners, business owners can borrow favorably and expand their capacity. Because if I won't employ people to just come and sit there in the office, but if the economy is good, I used to do 1,000. I want to do 3,000. Then I will need to employ like 2 people, and that solves the unemployment problem.
Lower interest rates, it will increase the promotion of cottage industries in the country and more manufacturing companies. Yes, I understand that very well. Okay, now in the country right now, our economy, we have an overdependence of oil right now in the country, and 2 questions now. Do you think it has increased our economic vulnerability? And if your answer is in the positive side, so what strategies can be implemented to diversify our economy?
The overdependence on oil is what has actually brought us to this level in the first place, and which means that it makes us seriously vulnerable. Like I've also said, that this government discovered that part of the oil we are exploring today has been sold into the future in 2025. That is one. And we talked about GDP, and I said that before now, the top contributors to the growth of GDP was agriculture, and which means that at that particular point in time, there was dependence on agriculture. Now that everybody is looking at that cake, everybody wants to eat from that cake, I can tell you for free that a number of young boys that are coming are waiting for their turn. They believe that the national cake regenerates. That when the person at the front cut from it, that it will regenerate, it will come back to the level it was for the next person to cut from it. So over-dependence has actually been a problem in the country. The only thing that we could do, one, empower people to go back to farm. Two, let there be an intervention from the CBN. If there's an intervention from the CBN, especially going to the bank, I think I said it on this program one day when we were growing up. My father used to go to the city. They will say they are organizing an agricultural fair where they will give them seedlings, where they will give them fertilizer, cheaper fertilizer, where they were educated which fertilizer go for this, which fertilizer go for this. Those are plant yam, this is the kind of fertilizer you want to use. Those are plant rice, this is the kind of, that was intervention by the government. That should be encouraged. And I believe by the time you do that, and there is that, most of the population are no longer looking at oil, then the problem of Nigeria might actually be a little bit better. And again, I don't know what the government can do about it. I think it has been an Hydra-headed problem that we have at the Niger Delta, oil theft. I don't know what the government can do about it. And it's another big challenge that any government, successive governments, have been passing through.
Okay, now looking at another very key issue that's also affecting us in the country, due to the unemployment situation, there's been a brain drain in Nigeria. Our brightest minds keep leaving the country, and this has also affected our economic development. So now, what incentives would you offer to attract and retain our brightest minds, our skilled professionals in the country?
Why do they japa? It's for greener pasture. All the government needs to do is to make this part of the pasture to be as green as what is available elsewhere. Opportunity. An average Nigerian believe in that opportunity. I have friends who are up there. The only thing that they will tell you is that if you can smuggle yourself there, if you have adequate permit to stay and you are unemployed, then you'll be on stipends for a period of time. The people that are employed in Nigeria are not even feeding, talk less of feeding the unemployed. Can we do that? So I think it's the only thing that will make people not to leave, to migrate to other places to work is when you have favorable working environment. Like you have actually said that the unemployment rate has increased. Before, you can leave from one job to the other. Now, you beg to even stay in a job. Your employer can call you. I will tell you that, you see that there is differences and increases in this. We show you the proof that cost has gone up, what we used to pay 2 naira, that they want to do a salary cut. You see that you take the salary cut or you resign. And anybody that feels that he has more to contribute to the company than what is being paid, we resign. Now, where will he be looking up to? To travel abroad. So it's to make the working environment, to create opportunity for each and every one of us. Even the people in abroad will come back. Now, I was telling somebody that, look, they said, I'm not there. They said chicken and chip goes for £1. I said, let's say that same chicken and chip go for 30,000 naira in Nigeria. Do you know that the effort we put in London to get £1 is the same effort we put it in Nigeria to get 30,000? Which means price parity is the same thing. But the only thing is that when they are bringing in their pound, they come here and become big boys. So if that disparity is addressed, we say that people, they won't call them to come to abroad. They say they are not going.
Okay, I believe we all want what is best for the country right now. And as you said, if we improve on the current structures right now, increase our production, and also put a ban on certain goods, so certain imported luxury goods, as you have put it now. Okay, so before we round up the program now, the social implications of this economic fragility, you have highlighted them now. So how can Nigerians mitigate the impact of this on ourselves, on our businesses as individuals in the country right now? How can we still thrive? How can we still make profits in our business? What would you suggest?
What I would suggest, one, is to remove luxury from your scale of preference. So there are things that are not essential. They are luxury. You can do without them. When somebody asks me about the capital market, and I told the person that income is either saved or consumed. But your survival is first in your mind. So you forget about savings for now. So what we should be looking at is what is necessary to make you to survive. I told people, I said, look, for this period, forget about capital projects. All you need to do is how do you survive? Like we're told in simple biology, that when an amoeba encountered an adverse situation, it forms a cyst around itself. So form a cyst around yourself until this economy will improve. How do I know? No government can run on 26%, 27% interest rate for long. It's a matter of time. In another 6 months, in another 1 year time, the rates will be reversing, whether we like it or yes. So by the time that is happening and things are improving, then you can bust out of your cyst those things that are luxury that you used to cater for. If you don't deal on them within this 6 months, within that 1 year, I don't believe it have significant impact on your welfare. You want to wear good wristwatch, you want to wear good chain, you want to spend that 50,000 naira perfume. If you buy 1,200 naira perfume, I think you will still do. You used to use soap that is 50,000. Go and buy lots of 500 naira. It will do. So I think it's cutting on luxury, and I think it will take us through this period.
Okay, thank you for this, Kebira Aruna. But I'm quite sure you noticed that this cut on our standard of living, yes, we're telling the citizens to do that. So it's not just the citizens who should be reducing this, also our leaders too. It should be all across everybody in the country. We shouldn't just be making it one-sided because the citizens are going through so much already. Aruna, for joining us on Market Insight this morning. It was great having you on the program.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, thank you so much for joining us, and we look forward to having you again on Market Insights. So that's our time this morning as we discussed our economic issues, and also we looked at what's trending at the Nigerian exchange and the events that took place yesterday, which is the Fidelity Bank IPO, and also the share offer that took place yesterday, and how it will affect the banking sector, particularly Fidelity Bank, going forward. And like my guest said, the government needs to protect our local production, and also agriculture needs to be heavily invested in. Also, look for ways to improve our infrastructure also, so that by this we could promote more cottage industries in the country. So thank you for watching Market Insights this morning. It's been great discussing all these issues and so much more. You can feel free to share your comments on our social media platforms and also share more topics that we can also discuss on the program. Many thanks for watching this episode of Market Insights. I am your host, Lovina Emah.